Okay, welcome in. I'm now going to be reviewing Monday's action from the NHL. I'm a little behind on the review, so I do apologize for that. But better late than never, as they always say. So starting with the Montreal Canadiens, they were wrapping up their uh, season with a back-to-back with the Detroit Red Wings. First, they played them in Detroit, and then obviously they played them at home for their finale. In the first period, Brendan Gallagher would kick things off, getting his 14th goal of the season, assisted by Lane Hutson and David Savard, 4 minutes and 25 seconds in the first period. Justin Barron would get his 7th goal of the season, giving the Habs a 2-0 lead, assisted by Anderson and Jake Evans, 6 minutes and 15 seconds of the same period. JT Compher would get the Detroit Red Wings their first goal of the game. For Compher, that would be his 18th goal of the season, assisted by DeBrincat and Ben Sherratt. After 20 minutes of play, the Habs had a 2-1 lead. In the second period, Harvey Pinard would get his second goal of the season, increasing the lead to 3-1, assisted by Evans and Kovacevic, 5 minutes and 15 seconds of the second period. Gallagher would strike, getting his second goal of the game, his 15th of the season, assisted by Jake Evans, and that goal happened with 4 minutes and 34 seconds to go on the clock. JT Compher would score about 33 seconds after that, getting his second goal of the game, his 19th of the season from Perron and Patrick Kane. So after 40 minutes of play, Montreal had a 4-2 lead. In the third period, Alex DeBrincat would cut the deficit to 4-3 with 9 minutes and 22 seconds to go. For DeBrincat, that would be his 27th goal of the season, assisted by Shane Gothenberg and Oli Mata. Lucas Raymond would tie the game up at 4, getting his 30th goal of the season, assisted by Perron and Shane Gothenberg, and that goal happened with 1 minute and 17 seconds to go on the clock. This game would need overtime, and the man who tied it up would get the game-winning goal. Lucas Raymond would get his second goal of the game, his 31st of the season, assisted by Dylan Larkin and Shane Gothenberg, and that goal happened with just 25 seconds to go on the clock. So despite the fact that the Red Wings were down 4-1, they were able to win this contest 5-4. With the victory, they were 40-32-9, still fighting for a playoff spot. After the loss, the Montreal Canadiens are 30-36-15. Alrighty, the next matchup took place in New Jersey. We had the Devils, and they were playing host to the New York Islanders. Alrighty. Hopefully this thing stays somewhat in focus. I don't know, I've tried doing a few videos with NHL 24 and I find it's just extremely blurry. That's why I have been using NHL 23. So I do apologize for the quality of the video. Okay. So, in the first period, Pajot would kick things off, getting his 11th goal of the season from Engvall and Lee, and that goal happened with 7 minutes and 38 seconds to go on the clock. Kyle Palmieri would increase the lead to 2-0, getting a power play goal. Palmieri would get his 29th goal of the season from Mike Riley and Brock Nelson. After 20 minutes of play, the Islanders had a 2-0 lead. In the second period, Meyer would finally get the Devils on the board 3 minutes and 25 seconds into that frame. For Meyer, that would be his 28th goal of the season from Bratt and Nico Hischier. Brock Nelson would increase the lead to 3-1 for the New York Islanders. For Nelson, that would be his 33rd goal of the season, assisted by Fasching and Palmieri, and that goal happened with 8 minutes and 12 seconds to go on the clock. After 40 minutes of play, the Islanders had a 3-1 lead. In the third period, Kyle McLean would get his 4th goal of the season from Lee and Engvall, 6 minutes and 17 seconds of that third period. So 4-1 will be the final score in favor of Long Island. So with that, they are 38-27-16. And after the loss, the Devils fell to 38-39-5. Okay, the next match took place in Pittsburgh. We had the Penguins, and they were playing host to the Nashville Predators. So coming into the contest, Nashville had very little to play for, while the Penguins were still fighting for that last playoff spot. In the first period, Sidney Crosby would open up the scoring, getting his 42nd goal of the season. Absolutely unreal. Assisted by Bunting and Brian Rust. A power play goal, 7 minutes and 2 seconds of the first period. Erik Karlsson would score with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go. For Karlsson, that would be his 11th goal of the season, assisted by Crosby and Pettersson. So after 20 minutes of play, the Penguins had a 2-0 lead. In the second period, Nyquist would get the Predators on the board, 7 minutes and 24 seconds of that second frame. For Nyquist, that would be his 23rd goal of the season, assisted by O'Reilly and McDonough. Riley Smith would increase the lead to 3-1 for the Penguins, getting his 13th goal of the season from Eller and Chris Letang. And that goal happened 8 minutes and 21 seconds of the second frame. Philip Forsberg would cut the deficit to 3-2 with 2 minutes and 24 seconds to go on the clock. For Forsberg, that would be his 48th goal of the season, assisted by Ryan McDonough. After 40 minutes of play, the Penguins were holding on to a 3-2 lead. In the third period, Eric Bemstrom would increase the lead to 4-2, 2 minutes and 42 seconds in that frame. For Bemstrom, that would be his 8th goal of the season from Karlsson and Pettersson. So the Penguins would hold on for a 4-2 win. With that, they're 38, 31, and 12. And after the loss, the Predators finished their season with 47 wins, 30 losses, and 5 overtime/shootout losses. They will finish with the number 1 wildcard spot in the West. Alrighty, the next matchup took place between the Buffalo Sabres and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So neither of these teams really had anything to play for. The Sabres at this point were eliminated from the playoffs, while Tampa Bay had already secured the number 1 wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. So win or loss didn't affect either team. Again, I do apologize dearly for the quality. I really should have used NHL 23 to review the games, but I figured, hell, I have it. Why not try and do some videos with this game? But my goodness, this couldn't be more blurry if it tried. Alrighty, so let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first, Dylan Cousins would open up the scoring for the Buffalo Sabres, getting his 17th goal of the season from Quinn and Bowen Byram, 1 minute and 26 seconds into the opening frame. In the second period, Steven Stamkos would get his 40th goal of the season, tying the game up at 1, assisted by Nikita Kucherov. And a very interesting thing for Kucherov is, at this point, he had 99 assists on the year. The only other person to have 100 assists on the season was Connor McDavid from the Edmonton Oilers. And I got a funny feeling I might be touching on that here in just a second. Sorry. So that's a bit of a spoiler alert. I do apologize. Dylan Cousins would get his 2nd goal of the game, his 18th of the season from Jordan Greenway, a shorthanded goal of 5 minutes and 8 seconds of the second period, giving the Sabres a 2-1 lead. Jordan Greenway would increase lead to 3-1 with 3 minutes and 47 seconds to go. For Greenway, that would be his 10th goal of the season from Jurgensen and Tyler Yost. After 40 minutes of play, we had 4 goals, 3-1 in favor of the Sabres. In the third period, Cernak would cut the deficit to 3-2, 9 minutes and 39 seconds into that frame. For Cernak, that would be his 2nd goal of the season, assisted by Nick Paul. Zach Benson, I believe, would increase the lead to 4-2, getting his 11th goal of the season, assisted by Quinn and Dylan Cousins, 9 minutes and 54 seconds in the third period. So with that, the Sabres, I believe, were sitting, I believe they finished their season, with a record of 39, 37, and 6. A little disappointing. I think they had playoff aspirations, but they're knocking on the door. So don't be surprised if next year they manage to pull into a potential wildcard spot if not next year, for sure the year after. This team is definitely on the up and up. And after the loss, the Tampa Bay Lightning are 44, 29, and 8. And as I had discussed at the very start of this review, they are already locked in at the number one wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. Okay, so the next matchup took place in Washington, where we had the Capitals, and they were playing host to the Boston Bruins. Okay, so let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first period, John Carlson would open up the scoring, getting his 10th goal of the season from Strome and Wilson. Exactly 8 minutes remaining on the clock. There was no scoring in the second. We have to jump all the way ahead to the third, which is 13 seconds remaining. Nick Dowd would get an empty net goal. For Dowd, that'd be his 12th goal of the season. Okay, so the Capitals would get a 2-0 shutout win over the Bruins. With the victory, the Washington Capitals, just like the Penguins, were still fighting for a playoff spot. 39, 31, and 11. They were holding on to the number 2 wildcard spot at that moment. After the loss, the Bruins were still holding on to first place in the Atlantic Division with a record of 47, 19, and 15. Okay, the next matchup took place in New York, where we had the Rangers, and they were playing host to the Ottawa Senators. Alrighty. Goodness gracious. Just so blurry. Holy cow. Alrighty. Let's take a look and see how this game went and who won. So, in the first period, Roslovic would open up the scoring 5 minutes and 55 seconds in the first. For Roslovic, that'd be his 9th goal of the season, assisted by Chris Kreider. In the second period, Adam Fox would increase the lead to 2-0, getting a shorthanded goal. For Fox, that'd be his 17th goal of the season, assisted by Kreider and Zibanejad. In the third period, Panarin would get his 49th goal of the season, assisted by Lindgren and Adam Fox, 4 minutes and 34 seconds of that frame, giving the Rangers a 3-0 lead. And then Alex Lafreniere would increase the lead to 4-0 with exactly 7 minutes to go on the clock. For Lafreniere, that'd be his 28th goal of the season, assisted by Gustafsson and Panarin. So the Rangers would win this one comfortably 4-0. With that win, they did claim the President's Trophy. So therefore, if they can go all the way to the finals, everyone would have to go through New York. So it should be interesting to see if they can get over the hump of being jinxed as President's Trophy winners, because obviously Boston had the trophy last year. They got bounced in the first round. I believe Florida lost in the second round the year before that. So for President's Trophy winners, they haven't had that much success in the playoffs. So we'll see if the Rangers can eventually break that or not. So with the win, they were 55, 23, and 4. Again, finishing first in the Metropolitan and finishing first overall in the NHL. After the loss, the Senators fell to 36, 41, and 4. Alrighty, the next matchup took place in Edmonton. And I know I already spoiled the whole 100 assist thing with McDavid, so he did get on the score sheet for the Oilers as they were playing host to probably one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst team in the league, in the San Jose Sharks. Alrighty, so in the first period, McDavid actually opened up the scoring, getting his 32nd goal of the season, assisted by Darnell Nurse, just 53 seconds in the first period. Adam Henrique would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 24th goal of the season, assisted by Brett Kulak, 4 minutes and 1 second of the opening frame. Warren Foegele would increase the lead to 3-0 with 9 minutes and 20 seconds to go on the clock. For Foegele, that would be his 18th goal of the season, assisted by Draisaitl. Dylan Holloway would increase the lead to 4-0, getting his 5th goal of the season from Henrique and Nurse, and that goal happened with just 25 seconds to go on the clock. 4 minutes of play, the Oilers had a 4-0 lead. In the second period, forgive me if I mispronounced this name, but Gushchin will get his first, I'm guessing, National Hockey League goal. So congratulations, getting the San Jose Sharks their first goal of the game, assisted by Bordelou, and that was with 1 minute and 58 seconds of the second frame, cutting the deficit to 4-1. After this, it would be all Oilers. Warren Foegele would strike, getting his second goal of the game, his 19th of the season, from Nugent Hopkins and Leon Draisaitl, 4 minutes and 41 seconds of the second period. Corey Perry would increase the lead to 6-1. For Perry, that'd be his 12th goal of the season from Bouchard and Dylan Holloway, and that goal happened with 9 minutes and 49 seconds to go. Cody Ceci would increase the lead to 7-1. For Ceci, that'd be his 5th goal of the season, assisted by Henrique and Zach Hyman, and that happened with 6 minutes and 42 seconds to go. Just 31 seconds after that, Evan Bouchard would strike, getting his 18th goal of the season from Perry and Dylan Holloway, giving the Oilers a 8-1 lead at that point in the game. And then Zach Hyman would strike, getting his 54th goal of the season, assisted by McDavid. That's the big 100 assist mark, and Darnell Nurse. And that goal happened with 4 minutes and 25 seconds to go. So after 40 minutes of play, Edmonton had a 9-1 lead. Absolutely absurd. Zetterlund in the third period would strike, getting his 23rd goal of the season from Eklund and Granlund. And that goal happened with 4.5 minutes to go on the clock, making it 9-2 in favor of the Oilers. Just a bit of a blowout. So with the win, the Oilers are 49-25-6, still in second place of the Pacific Division, and that's where they would stay locked in for the playoffs, I guess you're going to call it. And after the loss, the San Jose Sharks fell to 19-53-9. Alrighty. The last matchup from Monday took place in Los Angeles, where we had the Kings. They were playing host to the Minnesota Wild. Alrighty. So I'll see if I can drain that out a little bit. So the Wild were coming into this matchup knowing they weren't making the playoffs. The Kings are still fighting for a specific spot in the Western Conference. So in the first, Matt Boldy would kick things off, getting his 29th goal of the season from Rossi and Faber. That goal happened with 5 minutes and 54 seconds to go on the clock. 5 minutes and 46 seconds to go on the clock. A power play goal, making it 1-0 in favor of the Wild. In the second period, Ryan Hartman increased the lead to 2-1, getting his 21st goal of the season from Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek. And that goal happened with just 5 seconds to go on the clock. So after 40 minutes of play, the Wild had a 2-0 lead. In the third period, Kaprizov would increase the lead to 3-0, 8 minutes and 25 seconds into that frame. For Kaprizov, that would be his 45th goal of the season, assisted by Rossi and Middleton. But Blake Lizotte would finally get the Kings on the board late in that period, with just 5 minutes and 24 seconds to go on the clock. For Lizotte, that'd be his 7th goal of the season from Fiala and Cam Talbot. So the Wild would pull off a bit of an upset over the Kings. 3-1 would be the final score. With that, the Wild finished their season 39-33-9, I believe. No, sorry, they have one more game to play. And then after the loss, the Kings are 43-27-11. They fell to the number 2 wildcard spot. And again, they are making the playoffs. It's just a matter of whether they finish as a number 2 wildcard spot or if they finish third in that Pacific Division. Alrighty, that takes care of my recap from Monday's action of the NHL. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, take care.